Hey, it's Mitch Tram here. Talking about working a Texas rig. So there's really kind of three ways you can work this. Um, the first way is to throw it out, let it sink, and then lift the worm off the bottom by raising your rod tip up to the 12 o'clock position. Now, you can do this slow or fast. And by fast, I mean, just give it enough time to hit the bottom and lift it back up. Also, the amount of weight you have on your worm or your soft plastic is going to depend on how fast it hits the bottom. So throwing it out, lifting the rod tip up to 12 o'clock, letting it and reeling in the slack, letting it fall back down, lifting your rod tip up to 12 o'clock, letting it fall back down, reeling up the slack, and you just repeat that over and over again. And you can add a little bit of a kind of a jig action to it if you like as you're lifting it up. You can do that right to left as well, just to give it a little bit more action, a little bit more motion out there. So that's the most common way. And so you can work this a little bit faster, a little bit slower, and the faster it falls, or how fast it falls, is going to be dependent upon the weight that you have on the lure. Now, the next way that you might use this lure, and I actually got some weeds on mine here. This is a pretty weedy little lake, even though we're fishing it weedless, or it is a weedless lure, we should say. The next way to fish this thing is to throw it out and let it set for about 5 seconds on the bottom. So you just throw it out and just let it set on the bottom for about 5 seconds. And then lift your rod tip up to the 12 o'clock position. And like I said, you can jig it a little bit as you lift it up. You can do it to right or left, just to change the action a little bit. Typically you'll do this when the bass are a little bit more lethargic, right? You just want to let that lure set there for a little bit and then give it some action, and then let it sit and then give it some action. All right. So you're fishing it really slow when you're doing that. And so the third way that we can fish this, or the third most common way, there's other ways to do this, but the third most common way is just to reel it in very, very slowly so that it's just dragging along the bottom. And you can vary this too by kind of pulling to one side, pulling to the other side. You can even give it a little kind of jerk and then reel in real slow. But this time you're keeping your rod tip low so that you're keeping this on the bottom. And this is another way that you use this Texas rig for more lethargic fish. And when are the fish lethargic? Well, I mean, they can be lethargic anytime, but the most common times is as the day starts to heat up, maybe when it's a little bit windier outside, and then as the water cools down, they'll get more lethargic. And man, I'm picking up a lot of grass. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the Texas rig. Let's start a discussion here, and subscribe to my channel.